what's up everyone, this is No Less 55 and I'm here to give you my movie review on Transformers The Last Knight, the latest Transformers movie in the Transformers franchise, of course. This is my first movie review, so if it is a little rough around the edges, I do apologize. I'm going to try to do more movie reviews on my channel soon, so please look out for that. And if there's anything you want me to fix, anything you want me to change, please let me know, it would be really helpful. On one hand, I was disappointed. It's not good. It's bad, etc. But on the other hand, this is honestly what I expected. We are 5 movies in, and I expected this one to be good all of a sudden. Yeah, no, it's gonna suck, okay? Now, before I go on, I at least should give you my view on the Transformer movies before I continue. I really like the first one. I grew up with it. I don't like Revenge of the Fallen, although there are some parts that are just so bad to the point it's actually kind of enjoyable. I think 3's okay. Like, I'll watch up to the highway point with Bumblebee, Dino, and Sideswipe. That's when the movie kind of gets good. But anything before that, though, is bad. So, but as soon as they go to the highway where Ironhide kind of dies, that's when I think I like Dark of the Moon. I absolutely despise Age of Extinction. I hate this movie. Oh, not this movie. I hate that movie, okay? It deserves... I don't like it at all. I don't want to see it ever again. I've seen it already 4 times, and it's just toxic to me. I hate that movie. It's too long, overly product placement. It's terrible. This movie, however, is bad, but it is not as bad as Age of Extinction or Revenge of the Fallen, in my opinion. So it's right in the middle. So it goes 1, 3, this one, 5, The Last Knight, Revenge of the Fallen, and then Age of Extinction. There you go. There's my list. Honestly, I think people are over-exaggerating a little bit when they're like, oh my goodness, it's so bad. It's like, what did you expect? It's another Transformers movie. What did you expect? They've been making these for 10 years. What did you honestly expect would change? I will admit, they did market the movie wrong. I'll get to it later, and also this is just going to be a flat-out spoiler review as well, so that's the thing. Because honestly, do you really care? It's a Transformers movie. I'm just letting you know, nothing really dramatically special or spoilerless happens in this movie, so there's your warning. But yeah, I wasn't excited to see this movie. I was just more so anxious, because I grew up with the franchise, okay? The first movie came out when I was 4 years old. I'm 14 now, okay? I knew what to expect from this movie. It was messy, it was choppy, it was annoying at times. It's the same Michael Bay Transformers movie, I'm being honest. So okay, now let's get to the actual story. This is not gonna be easy, but I'm gonna try my best to give you a summary of the story. So the movie starts off in medieval times. You have the knights fighting knights, and then we see this one like wizard called Merlin go up to this like abandoned Autobot ship, which is also a reference to the Ark from G1. So I see what you did there, Michael Bay. You did something right. That's 1 pro. But he goes up to the ship and he tries to talk to this Autobot, this red knight Autobot, and they try to help. I think they do get his help because he gives them this staff or whatever. And then they get called upon this dragon. The dragon attacks the medieval part, and that's it. That's all we got for practically medieval scenes. We then cut to these kids trying to find Transformers. Mark Wahlberg has to save them from TRF or whatever it's called. They're an organization that tries to kill Transformers. Mark Wahlberg saves them. I don't know where they went. The only one that followed him was the girl. I think it's Izzy or whatever. Yeah, the girl followed Mark Wahlberg to the base. When you get back to the base, they have all the same Transformers that was in the last one. You have Hound, Crosshairs, Drift, Bumblebee's there, and also Bumblebee and Barricade were in the previous scene, but it was so whatever to the point. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. Then the movie cuts to Megatron, and Barricade is all like, well, Megatron is more like, did you get this like talisman thing? This thing that crawled up on Mark Wahlberg's arm and just kind of was like stuck to it. And then he was like, no, I saw it though. And then Megatron tries to make a deal somehow with TRF to get his crew back. And I'll talk about those Decepticons later. They really trigger me, but I'll talk about them later. Then they go attack Mark Wahlberg, trying to get the talisman back. and explosions happen. The Autobots run off somewhere, and once all that is over, this one British like servant, like C-3PO like bot comes up. His name's Cogman, and he goes up to Mark Wahlberg, is just like, your assistance is needed much elsewhere, or whatever, something like that. So they drive to England, and this is where the movie starts to suck, and there's a whole bunch of stuff happens. You meet this girl called Vivian. She has something to do with Merlin's like bloodline, and also Optimus Prime is barely in this movie, just to let you know. He's barely in this movie at all. So they gotta find this staff because Cybertron, controlled by Quintessa, is coming down and destroying the Earth. Because apparently, spoiler alert, Unicron is in the Earth, I think. I don't know, spoil that at the end of the movie. Yeah, so you just get a string of events, like Vivian gets the staff. You gotta try to save the Earth, and oh, guess what? They do save the Earth. They save the Earth. Big surprise, I know. And Optimus Prime's only evil for like 2 minutes, and yeah, there you go. It's confusing. I tried my best. I honestly tried in the beginning of trying to tell the story, then I just kind of gave up towards the end because it's a Transformers movie. Like, come on, the plot, you didn't really expect the plot to be that good. Okay, I've been speaking really negatively about this movie so far, so let me give you some positives, like things that I actually did like in this movie. One, I do like how this one is nowhere near as long as Age of Extinction, and it's even shorter than Dark of the Moon and Revenge of the Fallen, because the Age of Extinction, like, killed me. Like, that movie is way too long. Even this movie's kind of long, but it's not, like, painfully long. Like, you'll sit through it. It's still 2 hours and 30 minutes, but it's still watchable, I'd say, like, compared to Age of Extinction and Revenge of the Fallen, so yeah, it has that going for it. It's nowhere near as long as those two, so, and 3, I guess, so, yeah. I also really like the Easter eggs in this movie. In the beginning of the movie, you see Topspin. I was like, whoa, I thought he died, and like, what was that one? Cemetery Wind. I thought Cemetery Wind killed him, but I guess he's fine, and I think he was in Cuba or whatever. And he actually has a voice in this movie. I was surprised. I was like, whoa, they give him a voice, because you've seen Dark of the Moon. He didn't have a voice at all. He was just kind of there, so that was pretty cool Easter egg. They gave him a voice. He was actually in the movie, and he didn't die either, so that was pretty cool. There are way more transforming scenes in this one, and that really, really enlightened my day. Because one of the coolest things about Transformers is seeing them go from a robot to car and car to robot, and they do that a lot in this movie, and I was actually surprised, because in Age of Extinction, they went with that stupid, like, wallpaper one, like, I don't know, like this wallpaper, like, block Minecraft little thing, and it was just lazy, it looked bad, and no one liked it, and I hated it. I hate Age of Extinction, like I said, but they practically had little to no transformations in the movie. And I like how they actually, because it proves that they can transform. Because to be honest, when you look at Hound in the first movie, you're like, how is this thing going to transform? How is all that fat going to transform into a car? Like, they didn't explain it at all, but they actually found a pretty decent way in transforming it in the movie, and I was pleasantly surprised. Same thing with Crosshair's little, like, trench coat thing. Like, how is that, like, flappy trench coat going to transform into the car? They figured it out somehow, and I'm actually really happy they did that. Even though I said that the plot doesn't make much sense in this movie, it's still way more streamlined than it is Age of Extinction and Revenge of the Fallen. Because, yeah, it's still cluttered, don't get me wrong, yeah, the plot is still, no, but you can kind of get an idea. It's basically like, get Merlin's staff to stop Quintessa from destroying the Earth. I honestly can't tell you Age of Extinction's plot. Like, it just went from them being hunted to Galvatron wanting something, then Lockdown was hunting them. I can't tell you it. I honestly can't. It's actually kind of, sort of impossible. Revenge of the Fallen had a more streamlined plot than Age of Extinction. So I will admit, the plot is still somewhat understandable. You really gonna ring on me, clock? Thank you, clock. I will admit though, the beginning kind of had me. I was like, okay, this beginning's not that bad. Why does it have like a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes? Well, I can tell why, because they go to England. But I will admit, the beginning is definitely not bad. Like, I really was like kind of into the beginning. I was like, okay, alright, this isn't that bad. Why is this getting low scores? It's not that bad until they go to England, and that's where the low scores come in. It does attempt to give the Transformers more personality, I will admit. Like with the whole scene with that Suicide Squad, like intro to the Transformers, which I'll leave them later. I'll talk about them later. I'll talk about them later. They did give them more personality, even though they're not what I'd call the best ways to give them personality, but they did try, and I'll give them that. They tried, because before they were just kind of like mindless drones that had names sometimes. Like Shockwave literally did nothing in Dark of the Moon. Yeah, so they did try, but it didn't last for that long, I'll say that. And my final pro for this movie is that they did drop some pretty big names. Like they said Unicron, Nemesis Prime, like those are pretty big things, especially Unicron. Now I don't think Unicron is his own planet. I think they're gonna go with a Transformers Prime route and make him a part of the Earth, which I'm not too big on, to be honest. I prefer he's a giant planet, but I understand how crazy that would be to animate something like that, and it'd be a little too cartoony. I understand why they went with the Earth thing, but I don't know. I mean, at least he exists, I guess. And Nemesis Prime, they just said that because Optimus Prime's evil for like 2 minutes, and they were just like, oh, we'll just call him Nemesis Prime, might as well. So yeah, there you go. Now for the bad, which is pretty much the entire movie. I think the biggest con, in my opinion, the biggest con of this movie, it's not even that the editing's bad, I'll get to that later. The fact that this movie has so much humor, it is insane. And big surprise, none of it is funny. This movie has so much humor, it hurts. Like every scene has like 2 jokes, and they even stop to let you laugh so you won't miss any lines, and it just annoyed the crap out of me. That was the biggest thing I think this movie did absolutely wrong. They put way too much humor in this movie, and it was all Michael Bay. You know they didn't write all that humor into the script, because Michael Bay loves his humor, and at least it's not offensive or racist like Transformers 2, but it's still not funny, and it's too much of it. It's like way too much. It's insane. You could almost call this movie a comedy, but it's not funny. So yeah, that's the biggest thing that hurts this movie in my opinion. I already said before that the plot is too confusing because, like, yeah, I said, like, it's basically, in a nutshell, get Merlin's staff or whatever to stop Quintessa from destroying the Earth, which is destroy Unicron, I guess. But the thing is, they add so many side plots, it makes it very confusing. Like, they add this whole side plot with TRF to make, I don't know, like, to stop the Transformers, like Cemetery Wind or whatever. There's a military subplot. There's this whole thing with this talisman thing that goes on Mark Wahlberg's arm that didn't make sense. There's this whole Optimus Prime being evil thing that lasted for 2 minutes. There's this whole thing about like saving Cybertron 2 when you're ramming Cybertron into the Earth. How is that gonna fix Cybertron? Like, none of it makes sense. Like, if you think about the basics of this movie, it kinda has a plot, but there's so much stuff around the plot, it starts to get more confusing. Like, there's too much subplots and everything, so it just gets on my nerves, honestly. This movie is probably the worst cut Transformers movie I've ever seen. Like, it's cut, like, every 2 seconds there's like cut. It's like, why? Like, some of the scenes go on for like literally like 0.5 seconds before like cuts. Again, it cuts a lot in this movie, and it annoyed me. There's also the aspect ratio thing, but honestly that doesn't bother me as much, so I'm not gonna talk about it, but it's there, and it can get annoying if you didn't like it before. There could be full Transformer fight scenes in this movie if they didn't cut every like 5 seconds. Like, I'm not even joking. There is too many cuts in this movie. And speaking of Transformers fights, I don't think there's any one-on-one battle with any Transformers in this movie besides Optimus and Bumblebee. But even then, that still cuts to other stuff in the movie, like these jets trying to get around this little building thing while Bumblebee and Optimus are fighting, and it really annoyed me. It's like, just show the full fight, no cuts with any other subplots, just get a full awesome fight, a raw fight between Bumblebee and Optimus. And I would have liked that, but they didn't even do that right. So I don't think there's one single battle that's just like one-on-one with the Transformer, because I honestly can't remember one. Now let's talk about those Transformers I listed. All of them are wasted characters, period. The one that is the most wasted was Onslaught. remember when they hyped up Onslaught a little bit by showing that little, like, that green truck or whatever? Like, oh, Onslaught's in this movie. The Autobots gonna be in trouble because he's a part of the Combaticons or whatever. They transform to Bruticus. I don't know if those were the Combaticons or not, but they transform into Bruticus, and Bruticus is pretty awesome. Even though Brawl is already dead from the first movie, at least we got to see Onslaught. The thing is, Onslaught only has one line, I think, and he dies in, like, the next scene he's shown in. I'm not even joking. Like, how do you hype up a character and kill him instantly? Like, that's dumb. And then they say Berserker. Berserker has a toy, okay? And when Megatron is in the desert trying to negotiate to get his team back, he's just like, I want my crew. And they just show Berserker, and there's like, no, we're not letting him out because he's too dangerous. But you let someone like Dreadbot out, which kills people, killed 9 people, but didn't take the money. So you let him out, but not Berserker. Okay, that makes perfect sense. And Dreadbot doesn't even have a toy. Berserker has a toy, but Dreadbot doesn't. And Dreadbot actually got to go with Megatron. Like, that's dumb. Then there's Mohawk, and Mohawk is something else. He is the Wheelie, Wheelie's in the movie. Oh, that's also another Easter egg. So is Starscream's head, which is also pretty cool. You even get to see Megatron, like, talk to him and stuff, but Mohawk is something else. I'm just gonna let you watch Transformers 5 to let you know how Mohawk is in this movie. He's a different character. But the one that pissed me off the most was Nitro Zeus. Not only is that a dumb name, like it could have just been Nitro, not Nitro Zeus. Like they're just like, what's 2 names that sound cool? Nitro Zeus. Hey, that sounds pretty cool. Let's just put that together, and yeah, that's a dumb name. But he was overly annoying. He always yells all his lines, and he was literally dancing in his introduction. I was just like, oh my god, it hurts, man, it hurts. Yeah, all the Decepticons that they show in like the Suicide Squad style, they all die within like 2 seconds. So spoiler alert. Yeah, and Megatron doesn't die, of course. I'm not sure if Barricade died. I saw him at the very end of the movie, but he never appeared again because the movie's really poorly cut. I honestly don't know if Barricade died or not, so I can't even tell you that, so yeah. For some reason, Agent Simmons is in this movie. I'm not even sure if it's Agent Simmons. The same guy that played Agent Simmons is in the movie. But I had no idea what his character was doing. Like, he was on a phone talking to Edmund Burton, which is Anthony Hopkins or whatever. And he was just like, I don't even know. Like, actually, I can't even remember. Because he was literally just there talking on a phone. I was just like, what are you here for? You don't need to be in this movie. And he's not as annoying like he was in Revenge of the Fallen and Dark of the Moon. He wasn't that bad in Dark of the Moon, but definitely Revenge of the Fallen. But I still was just confused why he was there. I didn't get his purpose. I didn't get his point. And it just annoyed me, honestly. The second half and the third half make no sense. I liked it, like I said before, the beginning is pretty okay. Like, I kind of like the beginning, but as soon as they go to England and then they get to the whole, like, history of the Transformers, yeah, it got really bad, honestly, in my opinion. This movie it's a mess. Like, as soon as they go to England, it just goes downhill really quick. Like, it's a Super Smash Bros. Spike bad, like how bad it just drops in quality. And it sucks, man. Like, I kind of wanted it to be okay, but it's not okay. It's bad, but it's still not as bad as 2 or 4. And the trailers mislead the crap out of you. One of the main things that they pushed in the trailers was that Optimus Prime was going to be evil and he's going to be fighting the other Autobots. Nope. He's evil for 2 minutes, and his screen time in the movie is, I'll be generous and say 15 minutes. He's barely in this movie. And whatever he is in the movie, it's fine, I guess. He's Optimus Prime. Peter Cullen still voices him, so I guess that's cool, but I don't know. He just didn't do much, honestly, in this whole movie. Like, he was just there. And the thing that also really bothers me in this movie is that they do not explain anything that happened in the previous Transformer movies. Like, they don't explain. Like, how come Megatron, well, how come it went from Galvatron to Megatron? Like, does that make any sense? No, but it just happened. Like, it didn't explain that. It didn't even explain some of the stuff in its own movie. Like, Bumblebee in the beginning of the movie, he blows up, right? And then he just comes back together and transforms like he's fine. Like, it didn't explain that. Like, why can he do that? Is he invincible? Like, can he die? Like, it makes the fight between Optimus and Bumblebee even more, like, unsatisfying. Because it's like, if he dies and whatever, he's gonna Like, he's just gonna go right back together. Like, what was the point of that? Like, I was honestly confused about that. Also, they said Quintessa creates the Transformers, but in the first movie, they said the All-Spark created the Transformers, which makes no sense at all. Like, this movie just doesn't explain anything in itself or the previous Transformer movie. It's just an entity of its own. And there you go. That was my review of Transformers the last night. I know it's not the best review you could watch out there, but I just wanted to give my thoughts on it because I've been a fan of the Transformers series for a very long time, and I just thought it'd be right to give my thoughts on this movie. And I really want to say I do apologize for having a lack of uploads. Again, my school just came out. Like, I just got out of school the 21st, so same day Transformers the last night came out, ironically, but yeah, that's why I haven't really been uploading. I get out of school at 4 o'clock, guys. Like, come on. Like, that's pretty hard to upload after that, and it really drains you out. But it's summertime now. I try to get videos more frequently. I do apologize for the lack of videos, especially June, because June's one of my favorite times to upload, because it's the middle of summer, it's hot, you can do whatever you want outside, you can do some cool stuff. So yeah, I do apologize. But if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll try to do an update video about what's happening. Probably sometime this week I'll try. I'm going to try to finish this other video I have planned, which is Transformers related as well. So I love you guys though. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying on my channel. I've been gaining subscribers even when I haven't been uploading, which amazes me. So I cannot thank you guys enough. And like always, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.